You've been grinding away for months, and possibly years in my case. You've steadily worked at improving your stable of heroes, and now is time to venture into the Temple of Polybius. But are you as ready as you think you are? Well, in this video, we're going to cover all things Poly. But before we start, let me preface a few things. First, this video is not the only way to play Poly. My goal is to help players join pub games or even run their own pub games and have a smooth experience. My hope is that the things covered in this video shine some light on some of the do's and don'ts of Poly. I am not an expert on this map, but I have learned a lot from some of the masters of the game. Lastly, Poly is not a map you just show up for. Poly is the reason we grind all of the other maps to get armor, weapons, accessories, and pets. All that grind is so that we can play Poly. With that said, before we even jump into Poly, we need to cover what you're going to need for each stage of the map. There are many heroes needed. What heroes you play will generally be determined by what the other players are playing. So let's review the chart. The chart is broken down into recommended heroes, stats, weapons, and pets for each stage. This chart is based on what to expect for pub games, with the goal to ultimately end up playing Poly efficiently as a group with combat times less than 6 minutes. Groups that are fully in sync and have the needed heroes and gear can finish Poly in less than 4 minutes combat time. Watching these lobbies where everyone knows their role, where to be, and what to do is a thing of beauty. Now, as a whole, all DPS heroes will need at minimum 90% resistances, 2k to 3k hero health, and 3k to 4k hero damage. DPS heroes will also want to have at least 3k in AB2, and if playing a Countess, 3k in AB1. If you joined a pub and are kicked without warning, chances are your hero doesn't have 90 res, doesn't have the needed stats for the map, or you just joined as a Countess into a lobby that hates Countesses. Yes, this really is a thing. So when you join a lobby, please join with your DPS hero to give the best first impression. Now that we've covered the basic needs of the DPS heroes, let's run down the chart. The first part is the Assault stage. On this stage, the goal is to destroy all 5 crystals on the map. Squire and Countess are the main heroes for this stage. These heroes are going to want a Calamity Blade as their weapon or the Disaster Rapier from Tropics of Etheria. For pets, the event pet Mr. Crackers reigns supreme. Assuming you don't have a Crackers, your next best pet would be Mr. Owl from Arcane Library, Mr. Peckers from Tropics of Etheria, or the Ancient Etherean from Crystal Cave. I've also seen Countesses with Lovers Cupids as well. Higher skill players will also use a Jester, but for the purposes of this video, unless you are a Squire account, stay at the spawn until the crystals are destroyed. Part 2 is the core defense build. In this stage, we will be protecting a crystal. Your builders will be the Apprentice, Monk, and EV. Part 3 is the core defense combat. For this stage, we will want 1 tower boost Monk, and the rest of their heroes to be Jesters. One Jester will have a Huntress Guardian, the other Jester will have a Monk Guardian. These 2 Jesters will stay near the towers. The other Jesters will DPS and will typically have Rainmakers, Emerald Staffs, or Crystal Canes. They may also have DPS pets on or Propeller Cats. Some players may not have a Jester and will play as a Monk, which is fine, so long as they don't hang out by the towers and kill mobs the tower boost Monk needs for mana. We'll cover this in more detail later on. Part 4 is the Kraken Battle. For this stage, you will want at least 1 Monk with a Honey Spear and a DPS pet. Crystalline Dragon, Nature's Griffin, or a Little Wizard will work fine. If your Monk has a Mischief Maker, the important thing to remember is to not shoot the Kraken. Just stand there and hero boost and let your pet do the work. The rest of the heroes can be Series EVs with Ember Scepters and Propeller Cats. You can also shoot the Kraken as a Jester or as a Countess. Part 5 is the final stage of the map, the Gauntlet. This is the part where I will get the most hate from high-level players, but please bear with me on this. For this stage, you will want 1 Countess with a Lover's Cupid, 1 or 2 Monks with DPS pets, and 3 or 4 EVs with cats. This is the safest team makeup for playing standard pub lobbies. This is where you start with the eventual goal of playing a more time-efficient gauntlet of 2 Monks and 4 EVs. So now that we did a brief overview of the recommended heroes and the gear and pets needed, let's dive into each stage. Now for Assault, everybody spawns down here. If you are not one of the heroes that will be running the Assault, let the other 3 or 4 get out of the hole first. Once the runners are out, you can exit the water-filled hole and shoot the crystal to open the door for them. Just know, once the door is open, you cannot change your heroes until the next stage, so make sure everyone is ready. Now, the reason I recommend 3 and no more than 4 heroes running the assault is that there just doesn't seem to be enough mana to fuel their abilities. Having more than 4 go out there is just a waste of time. There are basically 4 paths to be taken, and it does help if the lobby knows who is going where so that 2 heroes don't go in the same direction. You will basically want 1 hero going down each of the 4 paths: the north, the bridge, and the 2 middle paths as shown in the graphic. Now that we've had some time to look at the different paths, let's see the north path in action. Alright, that was the north path. Now let's cover the bridge path. And that was the bridge path. Now let's cover the middle path, which will go after the Forge Crystal. Now, in order to destroy the Forge Crystal safely, we're going to go to the middle section of the map, and then we're going to face the wall, and then we're going to look up at the crystal and destroy it. That is why we want a Calamity Blade or a Disaster Rapier, because those 2 weapons can go through the wall and destroy the crystal. Now, the 4th and final path is an optional path. Generally, if you only have 3 runners, you don't need to take this path at all because the bridge path is going to cover this one. If you do have 4 runners, this will be the path that they take. They will help take out that last southeast crystal, but oftentimes the bridge runner will get to the southeast crystal before the middle path runner. Let's see the 4th path in action. Alright, now that we've covered all 4 paths, let's see what this looks like when all 4 runners are going at the same time. We'll look at this from the overlay map and see how each one of the runners goes. Now, from the overlay map, you can see that Sword is going to take the north route, Ron is going to take the bridge route, and Aggro and Duncan are taking the middle routes. In this example, we're going to see that Ron actually makes it to the southeast crystal before the other middle path runner goes. Now, once all of the crystals are destroyed, everyone races to the forge to change their heroes. Sometimes it's good for the heroes that stayed behind to be the Builder Monk and the Builder EV, so that they are already ready to go and start building those towers for the next stage. It's now time for the core defense build. The build itself is actually quite easy. It's just a 4 DU buff beam, a strength drain aura, 4 LTs, and 4 DSTs. Now, what will often happen is the host will build the app towers, and 2 other players will build the buff beam and the strength drain aura to make things go quicker so the host doesn't have to change into multiple heroes to finish the build. Now, this also assumes that the other players in your lobby are comfortable doing that. So now that the towers are built, change to the heroes you're playing. The Tower Boost Monk will jump on top of the towers and face west and use that spawn to feed his genie. Other heroes will jump on the railing so as to not draw aggro to the towers. It is important to note here, under no circumstances should any hero other than the Tower Boost Monk be shooting any of the mobs on the west spawn. If you're a DPS character and you're running over there shooting and having your pet kill mobs over there, you're basically taking away mana from your Tower Boost Monk. Do not kill the mobs on the west. Now, what I'm showing here is a more chill lobby where everyone just hangs out on the railing. In the next example, we're going to show a more time-efficient lobby where everyone has their role. Now, in this example, this is a more time-efficient and active lobby. A Tower Boost Monk will jump on top of the stack and face the west spawn. The Jester with the Monk Guardian will hop to the bottom platform and face north to draw aggro. The other Jester with the Huntress Guardian will stand near the DSTs. The remaining DPS characters will go to the bridge, southeast, and south spawns. This is to quicken up the defense of the Crystal Core. For ultra-fast runs of Poly, going to these spawns is almost a requirement. Now, as you can see, I am playing the Jester with the Monk Guardian. I'm standing here, and I'm facing north, and my role here is to boost the LTs, draw aggro, and shoot copters coming from the north. You can also see from the map that there are DPS heroes on the bridge, southeast, and south spawns taking care of mobs. This will quicken up the wave. Now, once the mob count hits 750, it's time for all of the Jesters to roll triple swords. Rolling triple swords will basically wipe out everything on the map and end the wave. With the wave done, quickly run back to the forge and change your hero. It is now time for the Kraken Battle. Now, once you've changed into your Monk or EV, quickly make your way down to the southeast, into the red box area. This is where we will fight the Kraken. Now, if you are playing a Monk and you have a Mischief Maker as your weapon, the important thing to know about this battle is to not shoot the Kraken. Your job is to hero boost and let the pet do all the damage. As you can see here, the DPS Monk has a Honey Spear and a pet. They are hero boosting, and the EVs are doing the bulk of the damage. If you are playing an EV, as soon as the Kraken is killed, immediately activate your AB2 skill to start gathering mana to charge your beam for the next gauntlet. Now, your other role as an EV is to make the jump. You will jump down here, you will then jump up here, and then you will jump onto this platform. Then you will jump over to this platform, go straight up, back a little bit, and then float over here, and then you will jump through these spikes. Now, doing the jump does take some practice, and there's an easy way to actually practice this without having to go through all of these different steps on Poly. Now, an easy way to practice the jump is to use Survival for Temple of Water. So we're going to go to Temple of Water, we're going to choose Survival, and we're going to go as far back as we can. So I'm going to start on wave 29. If you do not have waves for Temple of Water, you can go into the DDRNG server, go to the Looking for Group channel, and then ask for Temple of Water waves. You do want to start at latter waves because water doesn't exist at certain parts of the map on the earlier waves. So now that we're on the map, we're going to take our EV and we're going to go to the section that we're going to practice. We can already see over here, this is where we fought the Kraken. And so after you fight the Kraken over here, we're going to jump down into the water. Then we jump down into the water, we're going to see there's a staircase going down. The important part here is when you jump to press, is to press and hold the jump key. So I'm pressing and holding the jump key, and I'm going to this platform over here. I'm going to press my spacebar again to get up here. And now I'm going to jump to that wall. When you jump to that wall, you're going to press and hold your jump key as well until you go all the way up to the top of the wall. Then you press back, then you press forward, and then you're going to go in the direction of these spikes. And then you're going to jump through. If you touch the spikes, you will die. And that is why I practice this jump over and over again until I actually started doing it in Poly. So from this platform, I'm going to jump to the wall, we're going to go all the way up, press back, press forward, and as we get just close to the spikes, we jump through. And by jumping through, I am just pressing the spacebar one more time after I'm pressing and holding. One more time. Press and hold. I'm still holding. I press back, I press forward, I'm still holding my jump. And then I press the spacebar again to get through. And then we come to this door, and we press E to go ahead and open the door to get us to the Gauntlet stage. So I highly recommend practicing this jump, because unfortunately you cannot make that jump from down here. Now I admit, doing it the way I've been doing it is a lot harder than it really needs to be. An easier way to practice this would be going over to this platform, face the wall, jump up, and hold your jump, press back, and then press over. This way we're just facing the west, and it's easier to see the spikes to jump over. Now there is one more option you can do to make this jump. You can go ahead and swap your character to a summoner. So now as a summoner, grab some mana, and let's run down to that section and redo this. So we're going to come down here. My guy's pretty fast, so I'm going to slow down. I'm going to press and hold my jump. I'm coming above the water, going over the platform, and I dodge to jump again. Now I'm going to go to the wall, go all the way up, back, and then down over here. And then what I'll do is I'm going to build, let's build an orc. Now with the orc built, I can jump on top of the orc, and I can just jump through that way. It's just another way of going through this route if you don't have anyone playing an EV that feels comfortable doing this jump. But I highly recommend using an EV and definitely practicing this on Temple of Water survival. The gauntlet is broken up into 5 stages. Stage 1, you fight a mech, demon lord, spider queen, and kraken. Stage 2, you fight a mecha turkey. Stage 3, you fight a barbarian, squire, apprentice, and hunter's hero. Stage 4, you fight the Polybius machine. And lastly, in Stage 5, you fight Mischief. What you do during the gauntlet is entirely dependent on the hero you are playing. If you are playing a Countess with a Lover's Cupid, your job is to AB1 boost, fight bosses, stay near the other heroes so they are healed by the Cupid, and lastly, melee Mischief. This is to keep him from firing ranged attacks and jumping all over the maps. If you are playing a monk, your role is to hero boost, fight bosses, and let your pets kill everything. If you end up running the gauntlet without a Countess, one of the monks will need to melee Mischief. An important thing to note here is that monks with Mischief Makers should not shoot Mischief. The damage ticks from the Polyfire will cause Mischief to teleport more frequently and cause the fight to last longer. If you are playing an EV, your role is to beam everything to death. Do not beam Krakens though. Players that are far higher skilled than I could ever hope to be may also play Jesters or Huntresses, but those heroes are out of scope for this video. Now that we've defined the heroes' roles, let's talk about the map. The Gauntlet map is a square map with an electric pylon in each corner. Across from the spawn door is another door. You need to run to this door and then run back to the island in the middle of the map to trigger the boss spawns. Now for the first stage, we will want to kill the bosses in the following order: Mech, which spawns in the middle, the Demon Lord in the northwest, the Spider Queen in the southwest, and then the Kraken. So once the stage starts, the Countess and monks begin their boost and the EVs start beaming the mech. Then they move on to the Demon Lord and then the Spider Queen. Then everyone takes care of the Kraken to finish stage 1. Stage 2 immediately starts and heroes need to jump the moment the Mega Turkey spawns on the island. Beam while hopping around the turkey and the turkey will explode. Stage 3 starts right after the turkey explodes. All heroes should move to one corner to aggro the other bosses to them. As a Countess, I normally melee the bosses to keep them locked on me while the monks and EVs kill them. Once all 4 bosses are killed, it's time for stage 4 in the Polybius machine fight. Destroying the 4 electric pylons will stun Polybius and make him very easy to kill. Now that Polybius has been dealt with, turn off Hero Boost, Countess AB1, and EV Proton Charge. You have enough time to gather mana, heal, recharge Proton Charge, and have all ability cooldowns completed before Mischief arrives. The Countess should also enable Step Towards Melee Target to stay engaged in melee combat with Mischief. This can easily be enabled by pressing Ctrl-Z. Now, when you swing your sword, you will step towards the target and basically be locked on. Once Mischief arrives, the Countess turns on AB1 and engages Mischief in melee combat, while the Monks boost and the EVs beam. If all goes well, the fight will be over within 10 seconds. Now for fights that don't go so well, a Harbinger spawns in the middle of the island. Killing him will stop ogres from spawning during the map, which will give you more time to deal with Mischief and not have to worry about ogres. Now for more advanced lobbies, Gauntlet is run with 2 monks with DPS pets, 2 EVs with DPS pets, and 2 EVs with cats. The map is basically run in 2 groups. Each group will have a monk, an EV with DPS pet, and a monk with a cat. During stage 1, one group will take out the Kraken while the other group takes out the Mech, Demon Lord, and Spider Queen. Both groups work to kill the turkey during stage 2. Then as stage 3 starts, each group will go into a separate corner to deal with the mini-boss heroes before moving on to the next corner. This method has a way of destroying all 4 electric pylons and stunning Polybius just as they are finishing up stage 3, allowing Polybius to be taken out within seconds of the stage starting. During the final stage, one of the monks will melee Mischief, the rest of the EVs will beam Mischief, and the map will be done within seconds. And that covers the Temple of Polybius. It is my hope that this video helps you feel more confident and comfortable playing Poly in pubs and running your own pubs. Please remember that there are many ways to play Poly. What I have shown are the most common groups and hero configurations I've experienced while playing with others. Speaking of others, there are many people that I want to thank for helping me learn to play Poly. I'd like to thank Oliver, Pep, DynaMICWOLF, KL, and Rivelia for helping me understand the nuances of Poly. I'd like to again thank Oliver for reviewing the content of the video for accuracy throughout the process. I'd like to again thank Rivelia for spending over an hour with me on Temple of Water Survival, showing me the jump and helping me practice it over and over again. Lastly, I'd like to thank all of the players I've gotten to run Poly with while I documented the journey. Here are some of the many amazing players I had the privilege of playing with: Ace, Dolgor, DynaMICWOLF, Endo, Fabulous Potato, Filip, JackMiller, Jay, KL, Katney, Kraggels, Morty, Oliver, Oreo, Patricia Star, NeDx, Rivelia, Ron, Sergeant Toast, Slenderman, Sofaklient, Tate, Tigi, Ultimate Who, Ultimate Robot, Wiz, and YBS. I've played with many more, and honestly, too many to include in this video. Thank you for all of your support, and I hope to see you all in a pub lobby soon. Happy farming.